Outdoor Warehouse brings you the For Every Adventure podcast, where seeking adventure is a lifestyle. So in today's episode of For Every Adventure Chanel, we had a great chat with Kobus and Donnae from First Ascent. Well, we obviously chat a bit about the history of First Ascent, the products they offer, how those products are tested, why certain materials are used. So we go into great detail, but we also chat a bit about their personal stories and their personal adventures and how the gear they prefer from First Ascent was used in those scenarios. And maybe a bit of prepping myself for a specific adventure.
Yes, there's always prepping Kyle for an adventure. Yeah. But I must say, First Ascent being one of my favorite brands, and now understanding it and everything that goes on behind it better, it just makes so much sense. So enjoy. This is the For Every Adventure podcast. Climb in as we learn everything we need to know about the great outdoors.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. My name is Kyle.
Chanel. Hi.
There we go. Snap. You owe me a First Ascent jacket.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Just like that. That introduces who we're chatting to today.
Who are we chatting to today, Chanel?
Well, it's performance brands, and one of the brands specifically is First Ascent.
Yeah, as we'll find out today, First Ascent does tick a lot of boxes.
You start seeing the stories behind the brand, which is very interesting.
You become part of the family.
That's the thing. And I must be honest with you, my favorite outdoor brand is First Ascent.
Okay.
I just love it. Like everything about it, the look, the style, and the quality.
Yes. But have you ever tested First Ascent clothes in the outdoors?
Oh, yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there's a big difference if you have choices and you can go and try it out. And you know me, I'm always cold. So the First Ascent is my favorite for that reason. It always keeps me warm.
But can you bring the jacket with when we record? Because we can never have an aircon on when you're in the room. Because
my jacket's right here.
On default cold. Okay, cool. So just for keep doing that, I think. There's a lot that goes into choosing the clothes you wear for your outdoor adventure. And that's very interesting. And I can't wait to climb in that part of the interview we're doing today, or the chat we're having today. You know what? Let's dive in.
Take the plunge into outdoor adventures with Outdoor Warehouse and the For Every Adventure podcast.
Discover the ultimate outdoor adventure at Outdoor Warehouse, your go-to one-stop destination for top quality outdoor gear and apparel. Become a rewards member today and receive exclusive member-only savings on top brands, access to new product launches, and automatic competition entries. Sign up at one of our 37 stores nationwide or online and let the adventure begin. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure. Adventure enthusiasts, we've got a thrilling chance for you to win a 500 Rand Outdoor Warehouse gift voucher. Simply listen to this episode of For Every Adventure, find the answer to the question in the description, and DM us your answer on our social media channels. It's that easy. And don't forget to check out future episodes of For Every Adventure for even more chances to win big. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure.
For Every Adventure, where we explore all the best in outdoor adventures. So it's really lekker to have you guys here with us today. First Ascent, it's Kobus, the sales manager, and then we've also got Donnae, and she's on the design side of First Ascent. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Us.
Yeah, let's climb into the origin story of First Ascent. So take us through a basic history of the brand. Where and when did it start?
The brand's been around for a while, proudly South African brand. It was founded right here in Cape Town in 1989.
Okay.
And the heritage of the brand, essentially it started with the production of very high quality, high loft down sleeping bags.
Oh.
Okay. And it kind of evolved from there, and it went into down outerwear, and then kind of naturally progressed and evolved over the years with a wider range of outerwear and trekwear and so on and so forth. And then the natural progression, because the theme in First Ascent, as the name would suggest, is it's got a mountain theme.
Yes.
And so it naturally evolved into mountain running, mountain biking, so cycling. And today we still very proudly represent all those categories. And so, yeah, that's essentially where it came from and how it got to where it is today.
All right. Where did the inspiration come from to start this brand?
Well, to be honest with you, we'd have to ask the founder of the brand, who now lives in Australia.
No. What a time to be in Australia. Listen, recent events in Australia do make me slightly proud to be a South African.
100%.
Like a month old, I don't know. Yeah, but
100%. We can rub it in a little bit.
I think we can.
Yeah,
well, yes.
But back in the day when I first got involved in First Ascent, it was basically a question of there was this natural need for supplying high-end, good quality product that at the time there was clearly a need for in the market. And Charles Gold saw the opportunity, and he started putting some really good product together. Okay. And I think today the quality of the brand and the heritage that comes with it kind of speaks for itself. So we're very proud that that's where it started, making high-end down sleeping bags in a garage here in Cape Town. And,
wow.
And yeah, look where we are today.
It's incredible.
Would you say that heritage that's so strong and clearly very South African, does it influence your product development still?
I'll quickly touch on it. I think it really does. I'll tell you, I'm very excited about what I've seen over the years. You know, there's so many people that have come and gone in this business and in our design team, and we're lucky to have Donnae here today. You know, you get all these people with inspirational ideas and new ideas, and obviously the brand needs to evolve with the times and develop with the times. But something that's always been important for a brand like First Ascent is to remain true to that heritage. And so when concepts are being put together, that's always part of the thinking.
It's so recognizable with this little lizard. So you just look for the lizard and you know that's quality. From your side, Donnae, I'd like to ask you, how do you manage to find that balance between the aesthetics, like the style of it, and then also the functionality of, you know, especially the clothing?
So obviously the performance of the product is very important. But when you're out there in the mountains, hiking, running, you obviously want to look good. So in terms of design, we are very... we spend a lot of attention on style lines, so it must be flattering to the shape as well as functional.
Yes.
And then also in terms of color, we have a color day where we kind of pick colors for the season. So in terms of color reference, you also, in the latest colors, beautiful flattering colors for men's and ladies. So that all kind of adds up to the aesthetics of the garment, still keeping it functional.
And how do you go about keeping up to date with current and local trends?
So a lot of the time we will look at what the international brands are doing, referencing what the latest designs, product development in the UK, USA. We also send a team to performance days in Germany about twice a year. A lot of suppliers will be there, also brands referencing the latest developments. So there's a lot of touch base with that. We also work closely with our Chinese suppliers. So some things are made locally, some things are imported. And they kind of keep us up to date with the latest trends that they're developing, latest products. And then also our fabric suppliers, they are constantly feeding us information on new technical fabrics, whether it ranges from waterproof to fleece to quick week in running. So it's very much working hand in hand with our suppliers as well as being exposed to the market, attending performance days and China suppliers.
There's a lot that goes into it. When it comes to these materials and what exactly you choose for your adventure gear, what are the most important factors that you would have to look at or consider?
So depending what activity you're doing, so for running, for example, you want a quick wick product, so it's going to take away the sweat from your body efficiently and quickly to keep you dry and comfortable.
Okay.
Also anti-chafe. If it's regarding a hiking shirt, you want a UPF 50 because you're going to be spending a lot of time in the sun. With your cycling, obviously a lot of attention goes into the chamois. And then with something like outerwear, which is my department, you kind of identify what you're going to be using the product for. So obviously, if you're looking for a rainwear product, you want to make sure that there's enough waterproof and breathability in the product. If you are designing for insulation, you want to identify the end goal, whether it's down or synthetic. Obviously, each one has their own areas where they perform. So it's kind of weighing up the options, and obviously you want the best fabric choices to make you perform in those tricky environments sometimes.
And these tricky environments do get extreme. I mean, the gear is designed to withstand a lot of different situations, but how do you test the gear?
Yes. So when in designing the product, we do a few fabric tests.
Okay.
These can range from abrasion to snagging to down-proof, obviously, because you don't want the down coming out. So we have a whole list of fabric tests that it undergoes. And then once we have the end product, we have a great team of ambassadors.
Okay.
So they very much test our products. We'll have ambassadors for cycling, for trail running, for hiking. And we kind of give them the product. They wear it a few times, give us their feedback, and based on that, we kind of change it accordingly. How can we make it better? How can we improve it?
Kobus, what would you say is your favorite product that's been developed so far? Do you have a favorite?
I do. Mine would be, we've got a sleeping bag. It's been around for a long time in the range. It's called the Icebreaker. This thing is legendary.
Okay.
It's been around for a long time. It's one of those iconic products in First Ascent. So I personally own one that's about 20 years old. It's been around the world.
Wow.
It's been up many, many mountains and to many, many places.
It still does its thing.
And it still grafts. It still does its thing. It doesn't look so nice anymore, and it doesn't smell so nice anymore. but it still performs, and I'm happy to say it does. And I can just add to that. We recently had someone that contacted us. Customer service sent the mail on to me, and they said, "Kobus, read this." And the guy asked us about down, and if down is supposed to stop functioning properly after about 30 years. I'm like, sure, if you got 30 proper years out of it. And so he had a First Ascent jacket that was just over 30 years old, according to his mail. And he was very happy. It was his favorite garment, across all those years. And so obviously we helped him out with replacing it with something bright and new and so on and so forth. But I thought that was quite impressive.
That is impressive. But I mean, if you say they started with sleeping bags back in 1989, then it must mean that they've got that formula exactly right.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's one of the categories that First Ascent is quite well known for and respected for, and it's become legendary. And in the past 18 months, the First Ascent sleeping bag range, which has been around for a long time, has undergone a bit of a retest and a remodel and a relook and a few new colors. And it's not an easy thing to do, because how do you improve on a legendary range?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that the team was successful, and the product is out on the market right now.
Okay.
And it does better than ever.
All right, Donnae, do you have a favorite product?
Yes, so probably my favorite product is something that it was one of my first designs here at First Ascent.
Okay.
It was actually the jacket that I'm wearing today, the downtown jacket.
Okay.
So what I like it for, it's got a lovely matte finish, and it's kind of a little bit shorter than your normal touchdown jacket. I don't want to say cropped, because people are very afraid when they hear the word cropped. It's slightly shorter, which I find a little bit more flattering, because it kind of doesn't cut you at your widest parts. It ends slightly higher than your hips. So I think it just looks great. It's also very functional. It's a down jacket, and then it also has a removable hood, so you can either choose to wear it with a hood or without it.
So you're responsible for that. Well done.
Thank you.
And also the matte, it's very, I love the matte.
Yes, it looks really, really lovely.
And that actually, sorry if I may add something, that brings across, going back to your question from earlier about the design and what you consider, that brings across that message really beautifully, because that garment is a top-end technical product that performs really well, but it looks exceptionally good.
It does.
And that is the wonderful thing about having all these design elements and people that are really good at putting those elements together.
And I don't think any designer can go to work on outdoor gear. I mean, there's a few lessons you need to learn. What are some of those lessons you've learned in your journey with First Ascent?
So I'm very much an outdoor person.
Okay.
We grew up camping. And I love trail running. So I'm very passionate about the brand, passionate about the product. I use it every day. I went for a run this morning and I dress in First Ascent head to toe. So I believe in products that actually function and perform when I need them to. When I'm camping, I love a down jacket. I know it's going to keep me warm. When I'm running, I know I'm going to run comfortably because my gear is so comfortable and amazing. So I'm very much passionate about the product, love the brand, so I use it every day.
It does help a lot to use the product you design actually in the spaces that it's meant to be used, right? It does help a lot to be an outdoor person in that regard.
And then do you get a lot of feedback? I'm sure you're also part of like running groups and so on. Do you speak to people there to find out what they like and what they don't like as well in your personal capacity?
Oh, definitely. I have a lot of friends and family that also very much use First Ascent brands.
Okay.
So I often love hearing their feedback. And then we also have a very open customer reviews, where any design-related questions, the customer review team will send it on to us designers, just so we know in terms of designing for the next season, we take those into account and we see where we can improve the product.
Okay.
What's on your adventure inspiration board right now? Destinations, activities you'd like to do, or any ideas fueling your creativity?
So for this year at least, I'm very much a runner.
Okay.
So I've signed up for the Cape Town Marathon.
Nice.
And then also we have the Dryland Traverse in Oudtshoorn, which First Ascent also sponsors, which is a trail running event, a 4-day trail running event. So I'm also very much looking forward to that. And once again, First Ascent head to toe.
Okay.
Have you done the marathon before?
No, this will be my first year. So looking
luck.
forward to it. Thank you.
Kobus, and you?
I've actually got something in my head. There's this new Via Ferrata that was set up in the northern Drakensberg.
Okay.
And my son saw this video clip the other day of a good friend of mine and one of his mates who I don't know that recorded this beautiful trip that they did on this Via Ferrata. And now my son is determined that daddy will take him. So that's, and it's up in the high Drakensberg. It's quite exposed. It's above the amphitheater. So it's a 1,000-meter drop. And so it's proper adventurous. So, that's the way that we raise our kids.
Good that you know the gear then.
Yeah, again, it's just good to have outdoor people designing your outdoor gear. It just sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
What are the kind of things you look for when conceptualizing products and designs?
So once again, we look at what's latest in the market, whether it's insulation, a new insulation that's developed, new fabric that's developed, and kind of seeing what's in the international market, and seeing what we can use for our South African market, what will work in our climate, what will work for our customer, and kind of developing it into the First Ascent range.
I've always wondered, because I really, I'm not in the fashion world like you, so I don't really look out for it, but are South Africans more into these like outerwear, the jackets, the puffer jackets, than other places in the world? Are we like do we really love it, or is it everywhere?
It is everywhere. You see it on all the international sites, but I definitely think it's a thing in South Africa. It's they're great jackets to wear around the braai, to watch a rugby match, to wear to work every day. So it's very much a South African jacket.
Okay, all right.
But with that in mind, let's leave South Africa for a second. What are some of the coolest places the brand has been around the world? We know it's been to the top of Kilimanjaro. Yeah. Any other?
The brand's been absolutely everywhere. It's been to the North Pole, to the South Pole. It's been to the top of Everest a couple of times.
How many layers for the poles?
So I have not been blessed myself to go to the South Pole. It's on the bucket list.
Okay.
So I'm not entirely sure, because I think that it would be quite a personal choice.
Okay. Yeah.
People are quite different, and outdoor gear and outdoor protective wear, which is essentially the outerwear category that Donnae works on, is quite a personal thing, and it very much depends on not just the garment, but also how that interacts with your body. Are you well hydrated on the day? That has a performance impact.
Okay.
Are you well fed? Are you is your body stressed? Because then it doesn't generate the same kind of warmth, and so it doesn't insulate necessarily as well. So layering in extreme environments is very much a personal choice. But I would imagine, if I was standing at the South Pole, I'd be wearing a number of layers. We've got garments. We've got something called the Malamute parka, which has been around for a long time, and it's also got legendary status. It's been all around the world, and that's kind of the go-to garment as like an outerwear layer for places like the South Pole. And obviously underneath that, you'd be piling up a few additional layers.
That's the perfect name for it. Like you've got a Malamute like protecting you.
Yes. We also have a down suit that's been in the range for a long, long time, and is under a bit of a revision. And it's called the Himalayan down suit.
Okay.
And back in the day, it was kind of a very much a revered product. And many of the international brands that would compete in the same space obviously has something along those lines. So it's we're quite blessed and privileged to be able to box in the same category.
Okay. And I think we've spoken a lot about colder climates with the gear, but also warmer climates. They need their own type of gear. I'm guessing less layers, but how would you go about, do you have a good example of a warmer climate where First Ascent has been?
Well, I mean, it's when we live in a warm climate, right? In South Africa. So the brand is essentially designed around the South African consumer, and we're blessed to be able to take that to the rest of the world in some cases. So pretty much anywhere in South Africa where you're going to go, where you're in a humid climate, you're going to want something that's going to perform and be moisture wicking and move the moisture away. So we've got a whole active range. The shirt that I'm wearing today, it's called the Nueva shirt. It's by miles our most popular first layer garment like this. It performs in any climate. Yesterday, incidentally, I was sitting with someone and he was wearing one of these shirts, one of our customers, and a very good guy and a very knowledgeable person in the outdoors. And he actually said to me, it's the best shirt that he's ever owned in his life, and he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And essentially what that means is that shirt is as nice. You can go to church in it, and then afterwards you can literally go and hike up Table Mountain and run down, and you're going to be perfectly fine.
Wow.
There's so many things to consider just in a shirt. I mean, it's not just a shirt. It's got to be like lightweight. It's got to be able to dry quickly. And it's all these things that makes it so interesting. So there's a lot that goes into developing these products.
Yeah, 100%.
Donnae, just a question for you. If you had to go and test some of these products or designs of yours, where would you go? Is there any place that you have in mind that you would still like to go and test your head-to-toe First Ascent gear?
There's a new product that I'm working on for winter 26. So it's not quite in Outdoor Warehouse yet, but it will be. It's a men's and ladies ski jacket. So I'd obviously love to go and test out the ski jacket. It looks great. It's obviously going to perform under the conditions that it needs to. So that would definitely be high on my list.
Are there any proudly South African ways you've seen these products used? I think we've sort of touched on how you design the products around the South African climate and the people and so, but any ways you've seen it used internationally in a proudly South African way?
Yes, we have. There's, let me use an example just off the top of my head. There's a trek to Kilimanjaro that happens annually. It's a trek for Mandela.
Okay.
And it's been around for a long time annually, and it's a fundraiser for the Nelson Mandela Foundation. And people spend quite a bit of money to sign up for that journey. And First Ascent plays a major role in that every year. And it's just the link was not made from our side. It was actually made from theirs, because the two brands go hand in hand. It's proudly South African. And then, just from a visual perspective, I mean, if I just think back when Robbie Cogiton summited Mount Everest a number of years ago, and he struggled, he could hardly walk, and he managed, and he did so well. And he was proudly supported by First Ascent, and sitting on the top of Everest and taking this very proud selfie, and you see the lizard on his chest, and to this day he still speaks of that. And so those are those are just two small examples of how the brand is used in that proudly South African context.
Have you ever been to Kilimanjaro?
I have. I've been blessed. I've summited it a couple of times.
My goodness, wow.
Take me through your setup for Kilimanjaro. I would like to know what's in your backpack.
So
and on your body.
Yeah. So when you're in your backpack on a mountain like Kili, so if you're in a guiding role like I've been, then you obviously carry quite a bit more. You carry additional emergency equipment and first aid equipment. You carry additional oxygen and those type of things. As a trekker, as a person signing up for climbing something like that, you won't have those things. You'll have just the things that you'll use on the day. You'll have a waterproof layer. You'll have warm layers that you can peel off and put in your backpack or put on. Okay. You'll have your food and your snacks for the day. And you'll have your personal medication, your photographic equipment, those type of things. So very much just the items that you'll need for the day, because for the majority of the time, for those type of journeys, there would be porters utilized to carry the bulk of the equipment, because most people that do these treks aren't really used to being exposed to that environment. So to put a huge backpack on them is going to be quite strenuous.
And altitude sickness is a thing, right? I think
very much
50% of people suffer from it, I think.
I think the number is probably a lot more.
Oh, really?
Kili is not a good reference for that, though, because you never really acclimatize on Kilimanjaro, because it is a little bit commercialized, and so people do go up and down normally too quickly. But the way that the trip is put together, depending on the route and so on and so forth, I mean, it works. It's been done successfully for many, many years, but you never truly acclimatize. And on the body, your layers actually vary quite a lot as the days progress. So day one, you'd start down in the rainforest at about 1,800 meters above sea level. And so you'd be wearing, so that's a humid, very humid environment. So you'd be wearing layers that would be, good for that. As soon as you go onto day two, then now suddenly you've camped at about 3,000 meters elevation, and now suddenly you start climbing. So now your exposure, your UV exposure, those type of things, the whole environment changes.
Wow, yeah.
Not just the scenery, but the actual, how you experience it. And so there you would not wear necessarily a moisture-wicking garment. There you would be wearing something that's actually going to be protecting you from the UV rays, etc., etc. And obviously, as you progress, generally it also gets colder as you go higher. So you would be piling on more layers. The layering concept is a very, very important one. And one that must, in any type of environment with a brand like First Ascent, must always be top of mind. You must be in a position where you can either take something off to be more comfortable and breathe better, or put something on to provide more protection.
That's interesting.
Stores like Outdoor Warehouse would obviously be fantastic in actually providing that sort of guidance, and they also stock a very wide range of product that would kind of cover all those bases.
I mean, you really do need to have all that knowledge and do the research before you do this. Just on a personal note, is your son going to ask you to go and do Kilimanjaro?
Oh, he has already.
How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'd look forward to the day where we have the opportunity. It does cost a bit of money, so it's something that needs to be planned for. But yes, that would be a great privilege.
I've always seen these adventures as something that's very mentally challenging, right? I mean, when you start to summit Kilimanjaro, there's going to be a point where you're tired and you don't want to do this anymore. Do you think you need to be... Is there like an age restriction, you would say, for climbing Kilimanjaro?
So there isn't a legal age restriction, but if you're under, I forget exactly, I think if you're under 14 or 16 years old, you need to get special permission. There is a bottom, a lower age, but I'm not exactly sure what that is. But to answer your question, the youngest person I think that has successfully summited Kilimanjaro, I think, was 7 years old.
What am I doing with my life?
We must just get you to Lion's Head first, huh?
Yeah. Donnae, have you had any of those adventures, summiting a mountain? Or...
Oh, no. I've made it up Lion's Head, but that's about it.
Hey, that's a good start. You've done more than I have. Are you going to join Kobus on the next one?
Yes, please. I'd love to. Thanks, Kobus.
There we go.
Start saving.
Yeah.
I think that just, we're talking outside of our borders, at the moment, but I think if we take it into the South African context, we've got incredible mountains in this country, and we are so blessed, and a brand like First Ascent kind of speaks to that consumer. It's built around that mountain sport. We've got the iconic Drakensberg, which will challenge most people. In fact, from a physical endeavor point of view, it's probably more challenging than a mountain like Kilimanjaro.
Okay. Why would you say that?
Because you generally carry a lot more.
Okay.
The environment is very, very harsh. So from a physical exertion on a day-to-day basis, the Drakensberg is definitely more challenging. Wow. But what you don't have there is you don't have the altitude challenge. Because the highest point in the South African Drakensberg is 3,450 meters on.
Okay.
So obviously, although that is high enough to also suffer from some sort of altitude sickness. But we're blessed. In the Western Cape, we've got the Cedarberg, we've got the Hortentots Holland, we've got all these incredible mountains, the Kamanassi, it's incredible, and obviously the iconic Table Mountain. So
yeah, definitely. I like it when the conversation sort of goes. Like I feel the excitement coming on when you start talking about the different spots in South Africa you can go adventure in. I want a story from you where something either went completely right and you enjoyed it and this was a life-changing experience, or sometimes the more interesting story, something that went really wrong and how you solved it?
Or maybe one of the brand ambassadors, like someone must have had an experience or two where the brand's concerned.
Yeah, we've got a problem, but you know what? We've got First Ascent right here.
So I can tell you. So if you don't mind, I want to steer away from the things that were challenging, because that'll keep us here for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Because the outdoor environment, if you make the effort to go and test yourself properly, some things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're well trained and well prepared, and if you've got the right equipment and the right gear, then you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But a nice story, and maybe I'll go outside our borders again, and I'll go back to Kilimanjaro. So a number of years ago, our sales team in First Ascent, many of the guys have never been to big mountains. We did let's call it an incentive trip to Kilimanjaro, and a very good friend of mine who's still part of our team, I'll never forget his reaction when he made it to Stella Point, which is the second summit before you get to the main summit on Kilimanjaro. And the guy was just over the moon, and I can see him now as I sit here, and I can remember he was sitting in his First Ascent dry light jacket. It was this red color, and the tears were running down his cheeks.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
And it's it was a blessing for all of us to be there.
Wow.
And First Ascent really took us there. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chanel, what happens when the company you work for tells you the team building this year is Kilimanjaro?
I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, he spoke about all the layers there, so I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, it does seem like one of those things where I think everyone needs a big challenge, one big challenge in their life, and just that feeling of overcoming it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where your colleague he was in that zone where he knew, man, this was hard, but we did it.
He still talks about it today.
Yeah.
And tell us when you go, we'll help you out.
There we go.
Deep breath, yeah.
Kili is not as hard often, I think, as people think. It really is the way that you prepare yourself.
Definitely.
So it's like with anything. It's when you prepare for a trail run or a mountain bike race, what's the best way to do the preparation is go running and go cycling.
Yeah.
The same for mountain climbing and those type of things, is get yourself in the right mental space. And the way to do that is just to prepare.
Definitely. No, I totally agree. Maybe one day I'll get there. So Chanel, you've now thought it a good idea to tell the world, I think, again, that I have not been to the top of Table Mountain or even Lion's Head. And let's...
Not even Lion's Head. You can go with a cable car to Table
not
Mountain.
even yet.
But Lion's Head, you got to walk it up.
Yes.
Climb here and there.
That is the plan.
So we need to get you there.
That's the thing. I have no idea what I need.
Look, you can always go back to Outdoor Warehouse, but we've got our experts here, our First Ascent. So if Kyle's starting out, like he doesn't hike. He says he hikes, but he actually walks through Kirstenbosch Gardens. So what does Kyle need for his Lion's Head trip? Maybe you can give us a sort of an idea.
Yeah.
Look, I think often when people live in a place like Cape Town and you see the mountains around you every day, I mean, regardless of whether you look left or right, then what's interesting is often it gets underestimated. And an interesting fact with mountain rescue in this country is the most mountain rescues in the country that happens geographically is on Table Mountain, not in the Drakensberg or the Cedarburg. And it's because people underestimate, and it's because of the easy access to it.
Right.
But essentially, if you've got the right kit, if you go to a place like Outdoor Warehouse and they supply you with whatever you need, and obviously First Ascent covers all those bases, then you're going to be fine. And essentially for something like that, you'd look at very good footwear. You always want to look at your feet. That's a primary concern always.
Okay.
And my advice would be invest in something that fits comfortably and don't necessarily follow other people's advice. That's a very personal decision.
Yeah.
And then from a layering point of view, I mean, essentially it's going to be very much determined by the season. So you want to be looking for more layers that are going to be moisture wicking, because essentially you want to keep your skin as dry as possible. It's just a comfort and very much a safety concern. But you always want to have something warm in your bag in case the weather turns, and you definitely always want to wear something or have something waterproof in your garment.
Okay.
You want to look at sun protection, so the normal things, basic sun cream or sun lotion.
Double that for me.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously very good headwear for exactly the same reason. But the basics will really take you to many places.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good start. And
And
from there,
Donnae, like design-wise, what would you suggest for Kyle, like aesthetically speaking, for a jacket? She's going to give you color advice, everything now.
okay.
For your skin tone.
the very, very white, pasty, freckled. Yeah, okay.
No, we just got to be sure to give you a hat, Kyle. You'll be fine.
Yes.
I want one of those mullet hats. I've mentioned this before. I just want one of those. I'm in dad
Okay.
mode. You know, I want to get me some sneakers, some jeans that don't fit too well, maybe like a golf shirt, and a hat with a little mullet thingy at the back.
So
We'll
we've
work
got one
on
of those. It's called the Riverbank, and
That's a fantastic name. The names are incredible. Icebreaker.
Exactly.
Metal music and yeah.
And just to come back to the whole hiking through Kirstenbosch, you should be proud. There's a
Thank
lot
you.
of people that don't even do that.
You know what? I wanted to go on. My wife turned back. I was like, let's go. We can do this. And listen, on the way down, I did realize that it's just as difficult, if not more difficult, going down those steep routes. But we made it.
Well done, Kyle.
I'm still going to hold on to that. I did not want to go. I did not want to turn around. Just for my own, I don't know, pride.
Thanks for the advice, guys.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Please stick around, though. We want to recommend a few products to the listeners they can get from Outdoor Warehouse or outdoorwarehouse.co.za.
Take the plunge into outdoor adventures with Outdoor Warehouse and the For Every Adventure podcast. The outdoor life is for everyone. And our clothes are too. It's made to last in the sun, wind, and weather. Whether you're fishing, hiking, camping, or going to work. Get all your favorite brands like First Ascent, Cape Storm, African Nature, High Tech, and Columbia all under one roof. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure. Also shop online.
All right, so normally around this time of the podcast, we suggest a few products for you, but I think we just want to give you guys the floor now and just tell us about First Ascent and what can I get from Outdoor Warehouse.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so. Outdoor Warehouse is obviously a legendary business when it comes to kind of covering all the bases in the outdoor market.
Yeah.
And we're blessed that First Ascent has got great exposure, in their stores around the country. A range that does exceptionally well throughout their stores is what we would refer to as our trek and travel range. Something similar to the shirt that I'm wearing. It's called the Nueva shirt. This shirt has developed iconic status in the last 4 years. That's how long it's been around, and it's by miles our best seller, and it covers all those bases. You can literally go anywhere in the world, and this would be your first layer. And it's an activity shirt, but as you can see, it's also a beautifully looking shirt. In that same category, in that same range, there's a great range of bottoms, longs, and shorts that are also iconic. Something like the utility pants, for instance, has been around for a long, long time, and does exceptionally well. And it's got a following. People will drive to Outdoor Warehouse and they'll go in and they'll buy 3 pairs, and that's their trousers for the year kind of covered.
There we go.
Which is essentially what First Ascent prides itself on, is making products that are durable. They're going to last. They're going to stand the test of time. Then we recently did a new garment. Donnae actually was responsible for the design of it. It's called the First Ascent Bush Jacket.
Okay.
It's kind of a new direction that we're taking with the brand. We're exploring a little bit. We've got a relevant market for it, and Outdoor Warehouse proudly supports us in showing that to the consumer base. It was recently put into stores, and we're very excited to see how that's going to go, because the outdoor or the outerwear category as a whole actually does very well for us in that space, with from the down garments all the way right through to all the insulation, etc.
I'm interested in this bush jacket, Donnae. How is it different from the other jackets of First Ascent?
So the bush jacket we designed more for our Outdoor Warehouse customer. So it has a canvas outer and then a Sherpa fleece inner. So it's not like an insulated jacket that we, like our down jackets and synthetic jackets that we are famous for. So it's more in the direction of a canvas, hard-wearing outer. And every day, it's not something you're going to go high killy in. It's got a removable hood and lots of pockets.
So that's something that I would imagine if I'm visiting a farm, I'd want to like keep that close, sit around the braai in my bush jacket.
Yes.
Okay,
Definitely.
got it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to mention?
Yeah, and I think also, just while we're on product, we've got an exciting range of equipment that's all being kind of updated and that's been revised. As you know, to remain competitive in the market, you always need to update your technologies and your designs, but also the look and feel. It needs to be appealing to the consumer. So with the whole update on the sleeping bag range, which Outdoor Warehouse, I'm happy to say they cover all the categories in that respect. But we've also got some new backpacks that are hitting the market now soon. So if you now do go and invest for some product to go take your family hiking.
But it needs a cool name, like, I don't know, Thunder Eater.
So the majority of our backpacks have got some of the other reference to the galaxies. So it starts like from a Jupiter right through to an Orion and everything else in between.
Saturn explosion.
So yeah, we literally, if you go to a store like that and you look at a brand like First Ascent, we can literally cover you pretty much with everything that you're going to need.
Head to toe, everything you need. And you can get these products from outdoorwarehouse.co.za or obviously in store. It's the best experience in store. Their staff are so knowledgeable and they'll put you on the right path. What's next for First Ascent, guys?
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot of exciting things happening in First Ascent. There's a lot of new concepts, new development, new product ideas that are coming through the team. We obviously always looking and striving to be better and bigger. And we've got some fantastic competition in the market, and you always need to be relevant and make sure that you drop in products that are relevant to the market at the time, and that is true to the heritage of First Ascent. Yes. I'm also proud to say that we're very well supported in the local market, but we're also well supported in some of our neighboring countries and in certain areas in Europe, etc. And those are markets that we are looking at exploring more. And so there's lots of exciting things over the next 2 or 3 years that are being planned for the brand.
Fantastic.
Firstascent.co.za.
Firstascent.co.za. Thanks a lot for popping by. It was a great chat. We really enjoyed it. And keep well. Good luck with the next adventure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for First Ascent for today. Thanks so much for listening. And do follow us on Spotify and Apple.
Yes.
And then don't miss the next episode of this adventure. You can find us for every adventure by Outdoor Warehouse.
Stay in the loop on the best outdoor adventures on the For Every Adventure podcast with Outdoor Warehouse.